Hey guys, welcome back to the Golden State Gaming Network. It's me, Will Salas, here with Justin Waggle of Grey Wolf Games, and he's the co-creator and developer for a Kickstarter called Lineage, the martial arts strategy game. So why don't you go ahead, tell us a little bit about the game and your Kickstarter, Justin?
Sure, that'd be great. Hi, everybody. Let's see. My Kickstarter's up right now. We're currently 39% funded. It's called Lineage, the martial arts strategy game. The basic rundown of this game is that each player gets to control two player pieces. Most players are controlling a master and a student, and one player gets to control the emperor and the general. And they both have different goals. The masters and the students are trying to train up the students by gaining 5 cards, and the emperor and the general is trying to place stones in the 4 corners of the board. So it's an asymmetric game. But it is it's a pretty fun game. It's a quick pickup to learn, and depending on the play you have, the strategy can get really deep. So.
Okay. And what was the genesis for the game?
I am a practitioner of Tai Chi and Kung Fu, and I've been training for the last over 5 years. And a few years ago, I woke up and I had this idea for a board game, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Suddenly, I started writing all this stuff down, and it actually looked like, okay, this is looking pretty good. And I've played a lot of board games throughout my life,
Yeah.
and I have a regular gaming group. I do D&D, I do everything, and it just was one of those things where my passions sort of collided, and here it is. It became Lineage, the martial arts strategy game.
It's pretty funny. It's not often you hear somebody say, "Hey, you know what my sports need? Board game."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm just hoping that we can find those people who feel the same way.
So I was taking a look at it. I've been going over it for the past couple of days, just trying to get a feel for it. Would you call it more of a tile game or more of a map game? How would you describe it? I've been trying to kind of categorize it myself.
Sure. Some other people have kind of asked me, like, what other games would this be, or that kind of thing, and it's got elements of different games, as I guess every new game might. You can't help it, but I would say that it's a pathfinding game mostly. Throughout the game, the board changes, so tiles are being flipped over, certain areas are being blocked, that kind of thing, and each turn you have to sort of adjust your strategy in order to accomplish your goals. So I would definitely sort of see it as that sort of pathfinding game. But it does have elements, like kind of like Settlers of Catan has, where you go and you can like trade resources in different ports and that kind of thing. Well, we can do the same thing in this game. We have a rule called alchemy, where you trade in different types of chi for another type of chi to give you additional movement and that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of resource strategy in that, and then there's also the pathfinding, and then basically sort of developing your own strategy, but then be willing to change that strategy, because if you don't, most likely you're going to be out of luck.
Okay, and it's not a co-op game. It's pretty much a head-to-head. Everyone kind of goes their own path and tries to win the game on their own, or can it be a cooperative thing?
In the end, everyone's out for themselves. Yes, that's true. But what often happens is that someone will pull ahead. They're about to win. If they're a master or student, they have their lineage marker, they have their 5 cards, and they're running to the middle. If it's the emperor and the general, they are about to place that last 4th stone on the 4th corner of the board. So when someone's about to do something like that, usually everyone teams up and tries to stop them. Because if they don't, they're going to lose.
They're going to lose as a group.
They're going to lose as a group, yeah. We actually, one of the suggestions I had from somebody recently, which I thought was kind of interesting, was they said, okay, well, let's say someone gets their master and student in the middle and they win. Could we have a thing where if the masters and students defeat the emperor, then there's like a secondary win condition? So I've been thinking about that. It's kind of a cool idea, but right now it's just the first person to win wins.
It's always kind of cool when you're working on a project and you get some feedback that you hadn't even considered considered it, you're kind of like, oh, it might work.
Oh, totally, yeah, and that's been happening a lot through this whole thing, and the biggest thing I think has been, writing the rule book, and as every designer I've talked to has said, that's the most difficult thing. You can get the rules right, but to try to make them universally accessible is very difficult. So, right now I'm in the process of revising the way that the rules are being kind of demonstrated to people through the rules. So,
yeah, that's one of the problems when I've been talking to people about their Kickstarters is getting to the point where they can write the rules where people can, because they know the rules and they write them so that they know what they are, but trying to translate what your thinking is to make it graspable for other people is not the easiest thing, and sometimes they feel like they're dumbing it down too much, but oftentimes that's what they feel they have to do because otherwise people just don't get it.
Totally, that's totally true. I actually, there's a game store, a local game store here called Emerald Knights in Burbank, Burbank, California, and I met up with the guys from Chaosmos. They kickstarted a couple months ago their game, Mirrorbox Games, and so I got a chance to play a blind play test of the game, and they were sitting there with the rules, and Joey, the guy who created that game, was basically having a conniption because he wanted to tell us everything but couldn't. So I totally understand that, but they're going through the paces. They want to get their rule book right. I mean, that's a big concern for them, and I really appreciate that, and it gave me a little bit more confidence to keep working on mine because I was worried, and now I'm feeling a lot better about it.
So with your rule book, is there fluff that comes with it, or is it just kind of just a brief background description of the game, and then you go into it?
Yeah, it's mostly just a brief description of what the game theme is about, but in the future I'm going to be putting a little bit more of the history of kind of where this game comes from, and that is really Chinese history, and if you want to place this game in Chinese history, it would be like the end of the Warring States period, where the first emperor comes along, and so I'm going to put a lot more of that in there. There's a lot of kind of stories and legends and stuff like that where the emperor takes the scholars and masters and stuff like that and buries them alive or burns them and does all these different things. So there's that side of the emperor, which is pretty dastardly. Good story. But then there's also there in other philosophical things. There's the Jade Emperor, which is more kind of a benevolent emperor kind of figure. And then for the general, I've modeled him after General Quan, which is sort of like the patron saint of martial arts. He's like undefeatable in combat. So there's a lot of that kind of to the backstory of this game that I think right now is not being showcased as much as I'd like, and I definitely want to be putting more of that into it because this game, I call it the martial arts strategy game, and sometimes people look at it and they go, well, how come I can't do a roundhouse kick? How come I can't do this flying leap or whatever? And lately I've been telling people it's think like a martial artist, not fight like a martial artist.
It's the philosophy, not the acts.
Yeah, exactly. And and I feel like the movement in this game, like I said, is a pathfinding game. It requires that you have a balanced approach to what you're doing. You can't just have this one strategy and try to bully your way through the whole thing. It's never going to work. I'll guarantee it. I've never seen anybody win with that way. And that combined, so that idea of the yin and the yang, so like yin is kind of yielding, yang is sort of like aggressive. If you don't have that combination of those two things, like let's say you're purely yang and you're just trying to attack people the entire time, well, you'll succeed at attacking people. You'll probably really they'll have a hard time winning because you keep attacking them, but you will not win. So it's up to you. Do you want to win or do you want to like attack your buddy? You're
ruining my life.
Sometimes you got to think about that. And
I play orcs for everything. I mean, that's how I play everything.
Some people are like that in the games. in a way, it's kind of an object lesson in martial arts thinking in that way, because sometimes you're going to walk into a situation where it's like, I think maybe it would be a better idea if I talked my way out of this one rather than fight my way out, and that sort of thing. And one of the original ideas I had with the game that eventually got cut because it was so complicated that people couldn't follow it was I was trying to make it so that people like kept track of the direction that they were facing every time they moved. So you'd have to, like, a movement would actually be a turn, and there was a little arrow on each of the pieces. So a turn would go each of the 8 directions on the octagon, that kind of thing. And it was really difficult for people to keep track of. But the original thought was that it kind of was based off these ideas from Tai Chi and other martial arts, where backward and forward are considered the metal and wood step, which is like 5 elements of from China, and then my left and right is the fire and water steps, and then the central equilibrium is the earth step. So that was sort of the original genesis of some of the ideas for the game. But as it went on, it kind of developed into more of a blocking strategy sort of pathfinding game, and that is, ultimately that strategy, that strategic thinking, is what's going to make you a better actual martial artist. And so when people are playing the game, they may not realize it, but the way that they're thinking about it is a lot of the way that I've witnessed people thinking about martial arts, and developing their own forms, and developing fighting techniques and strategies for combating people, especially multiple opponents. So that's definitely part of it, and it's all in there. It's just like, how deeply do you want to look at it?
Okay, so that explains some of the components that you have in the game. Then I was going to ask you, but I think you kind of explained that a little bit to me with the different stones and the different artwork on some of the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk a little if you'd like, but
no, definitely. I would love to go into some of the
basically
pieces,
like,
because some of your components are really interesting. So.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I had an artist from China named Yan Li. She created the paintings for all the octagons, and she created the artwork for the animals on the cards, and also the different types of chi. So I'll just talk about the octagons first. The octagons, it's an octagon, 8 sides. It's got a circle in the center with kind of a portrait of a different terrain. And that circle in the center with the octagon shape is basically a bagua mirror. And that's typically hung up in different places to sort of ward off evil spirits. That's the idea. And that was one of the first things that kind of like gelled with the game. I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that shape. And so that became the tiles to begin with. And then I was like, okay, well, it's sort of like a parquet floor, which is the squares in the middle. It makes like a parquet floor, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think that's right, though. So that became the octagons, and the square tiles have a circle, square, and triangle on them, and those are the basic shapes you need to make any move in martial arts. So if you think about creating, like, I'll see if I can get my into the camera. So square would be something like this, So you have, that's too close. Square, and then you have like a triangle, and then circle would be when you're moving your arms, that kind of thing. So we've all seen Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, wax on, wax off, and he's painting the fence and all this stuff. Well, when he does this kind of thing, when he's moving his arms in a circle, that's a circular movement. When you're grabbing someone's head, it's a triangular movement. When you're blocking, you're doing a square movement, that kind of stuff. So that's sort of a subtle nod to that. That's why the shapes, and also I wanted the shapes to be simple so that when people land on that space, they can say, okay, it's a triangle space. I'm going to flip the triangle card. And it just doesn't really require a lot of language to be on the actual game. That was kind of one of my goals, because I'm sort of looking at this thing as a piece of art unto itself. That's what we keep shooting for at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the components look really cool, and the artwork is definitely very interesting. One of the things that actually had gotten me when I was... One of the reasons that I started looking around at your game in particular is I was looking for local developers and creators and stuff, because I'm in Orange County, so I'm just south of you a ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm trying to give a nod to all the local guys. But one of the things that caught my attention is it wasn't a zombie game. It wasn't a post-apocalyptic game. It was something with just a
Yeah.
little bit different and unique on its own. And the artwork is one of the things that caught me. And it's one of the things I always look for when I'm looking at games and what I want to see from a game company, especially when they have different pledge levels. Is what is it going to be? Just meeples and some basic punch outs, or is it going to be something that there was time put into it? And some of the artwork is definitely striking.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That I wanted to be able to represent the legendary 5 animals of Kung Fu in a good way. So, we spent time with that, and the idea behind the way they look at, which is like a one color against one color, is that it's sort of like a seal. In like when you see, like, sometimes you see artwork from China and they have these like seals on them, so that's kind of, it's like a family crest sort of idea. So that's kind of what we were going for. And also the animal cards are different colors and are sort of representative of attaining your belts. So these aren't the actual colors of the belts of Kung Fu, and I originally tried to use those, but having the two different colors, like the belt colors of Kung Fu are like, it goes purple, blue, green, brown, black, but it was confusing because we were already using the 5 colors of the elements, and so we decided to, I just decided to like kind of put that all together and make it, cohesive and more of a suggestion of the belts than literally, hey, I got a belt,
Expansion.
Believe me, I have plenty of thoughts versions. I just want to get this first one made. But yeah, I mean, I've the expansion. I've had so many ideas. This base game is, is definitely. I've tried to keep it as streamlined and graceful as possible. But I have a million ideas for expansions, for weapons, a whole outer ring of new tiles. Just make it like a totally crazy game. I don't know. I haven't really let that gel yet. My brain's not in that mode right now. So.
Well, I nod to you for doing a martial arts game that doesn't involve ninjas, which is.
Thank you.
It's the first place everyone goes when they think martial arts. I'll just throw a ninja in there because it's a ninja.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people actually have been saying that, people who have backed the game and stuff, they're like, hey, thanks for making a game that sort of like, in a way, doesn't make fun of martial arts or doesn't turn it into a cartoon. Like, I really legitimately wanted to bring what I think is, a series of good lessons that people could take away from it. Yin Yang, 8 directions, the 4 corners, talking about the 5 elements. These concepts from China have been around for obviously thousands of years, but many people just have no concept of them at all. So it's great to, in a way, subtly educate people on that kind of thing. I hate games that are like educational games because they try to hit you over the head with some lesson or whatever. It's awful. I can't stand it. But that being said, I wanted to be able to put something in this game that was furthering the martial arts, furthering some of these concepts. So that's definitely one of my goals.
No, that's definitely cool, and it definitely shows in the components and the time that you guys took to do this. So, how long were you working on the game before you decided to go full ahead with it and try and develop it as a thing instead of just as a side project?
I worked on this game for 3 years. Yeah. So from that moment that I had that wake-up call in the morning, I started writing all these ideas down. It went through many permutations, but 3 years, yeah, definitely. And the rule book that's currently up there, the draft version of the rule book, is the 39 of the rules. So I've gone through so many mechanics, and people. It's funny how you bring it out and people they like the game. But then they give you suggestions. Oh, you could add this, or you could have this, and I guarantee you, I've most likely done it because I've gone through so many permutations of the game. But yeah, it's been as difficult as it has been to do this game for 3 years and just sort of like am I a mad scientist working in a lab by myself? You know, it's also been rewarding, and you know, I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons from the game. Um, you know, from the process from which I started to now, it's been, you know, 3 years also of going and doing Tai Chi and Kung Fu. So I'm able to synthesize a lot of lessons that I learned in those classes and bring that to the game. And it's been great. It's been a great experience. I really enjoy it. And, you know, Kickstarter's, like I said earlier, is, you know, we've got about 16 days left, or 15 days left maybe, and we're almost 40% funded, and you know, it's been an awesome experience, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm meeting a lot of people in the community, and I'm you know, I'm connecting with people like you and reviewers, and you know, it's great. It's just really cool. I could not ask for more, except for I love to make our goal, of course, but you know, this is you know, it's been a great experience. I highly recommend everyone to, you know, take a passion, make a board game out of it. You know, go for it. It's fun. It's great.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely encourage people to try to follow their dreams and stuff. But so getting on the Kickstarter path, what made you guys want to try that route, as opposed to try and maybe approach a company or take it to another developer or something like that?
Yeah, I did approach a couple companies just to see what was kind of out there on that path, and the biggest things that I was concerned with is I did not want to lose control of the game, which is just in terms of the theme and the rules and stuff like that. Also, you know, the percentages that they're saying that some of the companies are coming back with are so low that you know, I'm not planning to make money on the Kickstarter as it is. It's mostly just get the money, make the manufactured games, get it out there. That's the idea. So, you know, for me, it's a chicken and the egg kind of thing. So we have a game. It's a great game. I want people to play it. You know, that's ultimately my goal. I want to put this game out there. I want to spread some of these concepts out. That's it. That's the goal. If we can do the Kickstarter, we succeed in that goal. If people really like the game after it comes out, then we make more of them, and that's the possibility of, you know, getting our game company going and making more games and that kind of stuff. So that's really been the whole thing, you know. I'm coming at it from a place of maybe that's different from the typical person who's making a board game, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, most people I've met who are designers, they have these deep passions for their games. You know, they are wanting to put this out there for their own personal reasons. That's the deal, and you know, I don't think most, you know, a lot of the bigger companies out there are really thinking in those terms at all. They're looking at the bottom line. How popular can this be? How can I put this in stores? And that's totally legitimate. It's totally legitimate that they're thinking that way. But when it comes to something that you really care about, you really want to have done a certain way, you got to do it yourself. That's kind of how I feel. And you know, Kickstarter is a way to, you know, generate interest in the project, see if there are like-minded people out there, and, you know, make sure that it's made the right way. I mean, I want to make the first one right, and if after that we theme it out with Star Wars and Kung Fu Panda, I'll think about it.
That is the latest thing now, where people are just reskinning games and adding them with a new theme, so it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but getting those rights is a whole other thing.
Yeah. So what about so okay, let's go to the future a little bit. So you're funded, you guys are ready to go. What are some of the pitfalls or some of the hiccups you might anticipate running into getting the game out there and meeting your goals, meeting your timeline that you have set out?
Well, we're planning to work with Panda Game Manufacturing. I met these guys at Gen Con this last year in August, and you know, I've stayed in touch with them since then. And you know, I've been really impressed with the components that they produce. If you look at Z-Man games, they produce most of Z-Man games, and the components are just like, they're just beautiful. They're just fantastic. Every game I played from Z-Man has these amazing components. And so I was like, man, who did this? And I looked them up, and it was Panda, and They were like the most approachable guys. So I'm really excited about working with them. So that, to me, is a way to mitigate a lot of the issues because they're going to take care of the manufacturing process. They have all these kind of things in play that will make sure you're not going to get mold on your game on the back in the shipping container and stuff like that. So, I'm excited about that. That to me gives me comfort, is that I can go to these guys. If I had to go contact the company that was going to manufacture my game personally without this intermediary, I'd be kind of like, oh no, that's difficult. It's very difficult, and the sort of having them in my corner is a really good thing. But yeah, after we fund, the biggest things that we're going to be working on are to solidify the graphically interesting rulebook. That's number one. Number two is to we're going to be doing some more of the box art and that kind of thing. I think we're going to have the components are going to be on the back side of the box, but the front side of the box, most likely going to be commissioning something to be painted for the cover. So that's the goal right now. After that, it's just going to be making sure that we hit all our deadlines with manufacturing and stuff like that. But we've given ourselves a good timeline. We are not promising the game before February next year, but I do hope that we'll actually be able to get it done faster than that. That's the goal. I just didn't want to overpromise. So right now we're shooting for faster, but that the timeline is I think legitimately we could hit everything no problem in that way. So if there's some kind of hiccup along the way where we screw up some art or something like that, then there might be some small thing. That's the only thing I can anticipate, really. The only other thing that has concerned me thus far has been the shipping, making sure that I can fulfill all of the orders, that kind of thing. So we have shipping in the U.S., it's included in the reward level at $39 for the game, which for pieces that we're hoping to make out of bamboo, the components of the game, $39 is like
that's dirt cheap.
Cheapest. That's the cheapest we could possibly make it. Like I said, we're trying to get it to as many people as possible. That's what we want, because we want people to play it. That's the goal. It's not just to create this beautiful thing for 10 people to buy. It's supposed to be for everybody, $39. That's the goal. So some of the people from Europe have been asking, can we lower the shipping costs and stuff like that? And right now we have the shipping to Europe at $30, which granted is high. I'm not saying it's not, but we're only planning to make 2,000 copies of this game. So we're not going to get any bulk discounts for shipping. And it's a bit of a struggle, and something I'm still wrestling with right now. I'd love to lower the shipping cost to Europe. I'm going to be talking to some shipping experts and stuff like that to see if that's possible. But that's pretty much my main concern right now, is trying to get that down, because I don't want to exclude folks from Europe and stuff like that. But to ship something over there, we've lowered the price to $39, which that's going to include shipping for the U.S. folks. And then we're adding $30 for a European thing. That's really, we can't. I mean, looking at the numbers right now, we can't afford to do it for less.
Yeah, and I've looked at Kickstarters from Europe coming this way, and the shipping cost is just I guess just as high. I mean, it goes both ways, literally. It's high for them, it's high for us, and sometimes it's more expensive, for them to ship to us. So I've looked at I've looked at Kickstarters coming over from that way, and I've just decided not to back them, just because the amount of shipping involved is usually twice what the Kickstarter was.
Yeah, and that's tough. That's definitely tough. I mean, I think us, we're trying to offer the game at an affordable price. $39. So we add 30 on top of that. It's only $69. That's not too bad. One of the possibilities that we had in the beginning was like, okay, let's offer the game for $49. Then I would have the shipping be $20. It'd be the same exact price. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things of more like perceived value, and you know, right now it's a lesson that I'm learning. So, you know, hopefully I can find some way to get, you know, better shipping rates, etc. But it's something I'm still struggling with. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like I've been talking to a lot of you guys that are the smaller startup guys. I haven't yet
Mm-hmm.
had a larger company get in touch with me, but it seems like you guys have thought out your timelines a lot better than some of the established companies have thought out. And you know, I've been a part of or been involved with some people that were a part of Kickstarters where it's going on a year and a half later and they're still waiting on PDFs for a rule book that was supposed to be printed 6, 7 months ago from established companies.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's just lame. I
Yeah.
hope that doesn't. I never want to do something like that. I mean, you know, big thing is like I want to stay in touch with the people who have backed us. I want to make sure that they get the latest rules all the time, you know, available on the website right away. You know, it's just that's the kind of thing that has made me go Kickstarter. Really, I want to have that level of quality. You know, people who have seen this our prototype, you know, we just got a preview from Crits Happen, and
Yeah,
he
I
says in
saw
the
that.
first sentence. I just say, okay, yeah. He said in the first sentence that it was the best prototype he'd ever seen, which is like, whoa. So you know, it's like nice that he said that, but you know, yeah, you know, basically we double laminated, printed the octagons of polystyrene for the prototype, and then laser cut the wood pieces and hand painted them. You know, those are all. I have 6 prototypes made right now, and they're all like that. So it takes a while, but that's what I want the final product to be like. I mean, the polystyrene, it won't be polystyrene, it'll most likely be cardboard, but you know, I want to make sure the printing makes the colors bright and that kind of thing. That's why we decided to do it the way we did it, because it's more about showing the colors and the paintings and stuff like that. So that's what I want the components at the end to be. I want it to be a piece of art. You know, it's people talk about it like, oh, it's this abstract game, which, you know, in a way it is. But if I were to take, like right now it's cubes. So right now the game has these reversible cubes that's with plus and minus signs on it. Those are the player pieces. Some of our stretch goals are to have you know, 3D models and stuff like that for the different things. Now I'm just trying to get to our main goal right now. Yeah, I put the stretch goals out there to let people know if we get past this, we will be putting 3D models and stuff like that. But really right now, you know, that's the only thing that makes our game abstract in a way, is just the player pieces. So if we were able to get past our stretch goal and be able to put a cool figurine of, you know, General Quan, a cool figurine of an emperor and stuff like that, it would suddenly, people would look at it in a different light. And it's funny because, like, you know, our game, people are having a hard time, you know, putting it in a category. I think that's, you know, your first question was talking about that, and to me that's like cool. Because that's, you know, you don't want 1,000 games that are all the same. You don't want 1,000 games that are in this same, you know, category. What do we need to box it in for? It's a game unto itself. It is what it is. You know, it's a totally unique, different thing. Cool. You know, what's the problem?
No,
And
no, that's
so,
kind of cool. So I was just checking back on the Kickstarter. So one of the figures that you have there is one of the representations of what you might go with for the General
oh
Quan.
yeah, the guy. General Quan, yeah, it'd be something like that. Yeah, that's just, you know, an image from, you know, that's a very famous image from China.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
thought it looked
General
familiar,
Quan.
but if you go that route, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be little 3D miniatures. You know, it'd probably be a little bit less detailed than that guy, because
Yeah,
that guy's probably made of bronze, I think.
yeah.
But
But, well, you kind of got
yeah,
me
that's the
excited
idea.
now. You got me a little excited. Well, because my gaming group, one of our main folks, I mean, we play all kinds of games, card games, board games, party games, anything you can think of. We got a couple lists that do RPGs, but miniatures are kind of our main, how we all got together was through miniature gaming. So we find games with components that we can paint and kind of modify, and we're like, okay, this is a great game now.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
cool. No, I mean, I've been trying to get people excited about the stretch goals. That's why I put them up right away, you know, because I really
yeah.
would love to do that. I'm fortunate because my brother, Matt Waggle, is a 3D developer. So he is, you know, he's modeled many characters for different video games and stuff like that. So he is a seasoned professional, and I can just go, hey Matt, can you do this for me? And he'll go, damn it, I'm his brother. Okay, sure. But you know, he's a fantastic artist, and fortunately, I'm able to lean on him. So I've already cleared it with him, so I feel comfortable talking about it. But if we can get up to those stretch goals, he'll muck up some models and stuff like that for me. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you kind of have that access. That's kind of cool. Is there anything you wish you wouldn't have done?
We're sort of the.
Yeah, but is there anything
wouldn't have done with the game?
Yeah, well, not necessarily with the game, but with the Kickstarter and the process that you went through. Anything that you've learned going through it up to this point, or are you kind of happy with the way that things have gone and kind of just the way that it's turned out? You're kind of just happy with it, and you wouldn't change much at all.
Oh no! I mean, I don't think anyone can say that they would never change anything about their Kickstarter. Anyway, I don't think it's even possible. I think the thing that I would do differently is I would spend more time going to conventions. Like I said, I met Joey from Chaosmos the other day, and you know, those guys, they went to a million conventions. They went to all these different, you know, gaming groups. They really reached out to the sort of, you know, press avenues a lot earlier than I did. So, you know, I wish that I had been able to do more of that before launching the Kickstarter for sure. But I knew the game was solid. So once I knew the game was solid based on all the play tests and you know, to the conventions that we did go to and stuff like that, I felt confident that the game would stand up to scrutiny. And thus far it has. The critics, you know, people who review games for a living or, you know, have these huge channels, have basically come back and said, this is a great game. We love it. You know, we wanted to get funded. And that's been fantastic. I think the big thing is that we're still trying to generate that, you know, on-the-ground buzz, let people know that this game is really good, you know, because they look at it and they go, I don't get this. It's not, doesn't fit in my category. Like you said, it doesn't have zombies. I'm not building a farm. I don't have a castle. I don't know what to do. You know, so, you know, this game is a completely different new thing. And in a way, we just need to go around and continue sort of educating people about what this game is and what the play experience is like. So, you know, recently I posted a full 4-player game match on the Kickstarter, so you can watch from beginning to end how the game plays, questions that are asked, what's going on. I do plan to also put up a 2-player game because people have been asking how does it play with 2 players. So I'm going to put up a 2-player game as well. And I also have one more tutorial just about done. So we're going to be posting some more videos very soon.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of awesome that you've been updating things. I saw the critical review when you put it up because you know, like I said, I'd been going through your page and just trying to familiarize myself with the different parts of it.
Yeah.
So what is the average time for gameplay for new players when you've taught somebody the game? How long is it taking them to go through a complete game?
If it's a 3-player game, it's about an hour. You know, sometimes explaining a little bit in the beginning adds maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So that's average for the 3-player game. The way we say that the game plays typically is like 3 players is an hour. Each additional player up to 6 is an additional 20 minutes. So between 1 and 2 hours for players that are sort of experienced. In the video that is posted, the 4-player game, we played a 4-player game with 2 new people basically in 40 minutes. So it is variable. You know, Rick in that game just whooped us. So that just sometimes happens. You know, so it's funny. It's a type of game that is sort of changing depending on who plays it. So they play it. The rules are set, but the personalities bring different strategies and a different type of gameplay, and so certain games can be extended because people are sitting there going, how do I do this? And they just sit there for a few minutes, you know, that kind of thing. And then sometimes people are just very fluid in playing it, so, you know, it depends on the players. It really depends on the players. But I would say on average 20 minutes per player. That's pretty much how it's gone. And then explaining it, what I typically do with explaining it is I explain it for like 5 minutes or so, and then I say, let's just play a couple turns. And once I do that, people get it. They play it. They flip. You know, they move. They hit a square spot. It has a circle on it. They flip the circle card. They get their chi. Now they're on the way. So I mean, the game's pretty simple. You move 3 spaces, if you didn't do anything else in the whole game, you could move around the whole board, moving 3 spaces on the octagons, and do nothing else if you wanted to. You could do that. You wouldn't win, but you could do that. So.
But it's something to do.
It's something. I mean, you could do it. You could tour around the board and win. You could eventually do stuff. But if you went and just visited the masters, pick up some chi. I mean, it could be a very simple game, but you get these people who are really good at tactics, and so they'll be flipping the seasons on you, making certain spaces blocked. The emperor will build walls all around the yin yang tile so you can't turn it over, stuff like that. Or they'll block off a whole temple so you can't get to it, or they'll block off a master so he gets trapped. So there's all kinds of things that you can do, but you don't have to do any of them. It's just you can. So like I said, it depends on the players. At Gen Con, we had a playing group that was all teenage guys, 12 and up, and they after 5 minutes of explaining it, they were experts. I didn't have to say anything else, and they were just going at it. They were just like getting all the cards. They were getting their lineage. The emperor was making all his dastardly moves. It was great. They were having a great time. It really was a good experience for me to have people just take to the game so quickly, and so it's been encouraging. It's been encouraging. It's been great.
That's definitely cool. So
yeah.
Gen Con, do you do any local conventions? Because my play group, our gaming, actually, that's one of the things that we do is we go to conventions locally and we demo games. So we go to LA, we go to San Diego, we go. And we hit the non-gaming conventions too. We do WonderCon, we do Anime Expo, we do Gaslight, we do steampunk conventions all the time. What kind of cons do you do locally, if any?
Well, one that I just missed that I wanted to go to was OrcCon. That was a lot of people went to that one. Coming up pretty soon, I'm gonna try to make it down to SoCal Games Day. They have here in the Valley. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also been invited for Tabletop Day, April 5th. Somebody invited me out in Ventura for as a special guest. I was like, special guest? Sure. I'll come down, So, I'm still locally. I'm trying to get more involved and get into more groups. I've been using Meetup.com a lot to get into local groups. There's one called Friday Night Dice here in the Valley. I've also just recently joined one where it's like LA game designers, so they have a Facebook group. Okay, cool. Yes, so they have a Facebook group, they have a Meetup group, so I'm on that group. So yeah, so I'm doing it. I'm getting out there. I'm meeting people and stuff like that. But it's funny because I'm doing all this stuff, but I work a full-time job as a programmer. I do kung fu 3 or 4 times a week. Kung fu and Tai Chi 3 or 4 times a week in the evenings, and I'm trying to run Kickstarter, so it's been a little crazy.
And breaking up street fights and taking on the tough guys on the weak hard too, huh?
God forbid. Hopefully I can just give him a hug and just say, hey man, it's okay.
No, it's actually, I'm surprised that we haven't seen you at anything because our gaming club goes San Diego all the way to Barstow, and we rotate the games that we go. But primarily we stay in Inland Empire, Orange County area just because of the midway points for everybody. But every once in a while we do get up to Friday Night Dice. We get up to Game Empire up in Pasadena and a couple other stores. And a couple of our members are up in the North LA kind of Valley area. So.
Cool. Well, I'm going to try to hit up Game Empire soon, and I'm also going to try to go to Game House in Glendale. I was at Emerald Knights last week and this week twice, and then probably this coming Friday I'm going to try to hit Friday Night Dice. So if you guys are around, I'm going to bring Lineage, so if you want to check it out.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, that'd be definitely cool to check it out in person. Maybe we could set up a thing. Most of our guys on Sunday will be in Montclair. That's our primary game day, and that's when mostly everybody can get together. But we try and get together there on Sundays, unless we do the odd day up in LA on Saturdays or Friday nights. But we try to go to Monster and Montclair just because they do sponsor a lot of events, and they're very welcoming to a lot of new game developers and stuff. Okay,
what time does that start on Sundays?
Typically we're there in the afternoon after 2 o'clock.
After 2? Okay.
Yeah, after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're there till they close or they kick us out.
Cool. Well, I'll see about checking that out because I have Kung Fu class till 3, But then after that, because I got to stick with my Tai Chi Kung Fu regimen. Otherwise, what am I doing?
Well,
I
you got to
make a board
maintain
game
the
about Kung
balance.
Fu. Yeah, exactly. But after 3 o'clock, I'll take a look. The store's, what was the store called again? Sorry, I missed what
Monstore.
it said.
Monstore,
Okay, Monster.
Montclair.
Yeah.
But
Okay, cool.
every once in a while we do get up to Chatsworth to go to JJ's Game Lounge, and we get
Okay,
up there
cool.
too, because I don't think we've been to Game Empire in about 2 months, so I know we're trying to get back up
Okay.
there. It's just trying to
Well,
get that. Our guys in LA have really fancy, so it's harder for them to get schedule time for us.
yeah. That's cool.
So, but definitely it'd be cool to meet up and
Yeah, well,
play the
definitely.
game. So,
Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love that. I would love that. So let's definitely trade details after,
yeah,
and hopefully
definitely.
we'll get that going.
So it looks like we're about to hit the 45-minute mark, which is a new high. I've never gone over 30.
Okay.
But so any final thoughts? Or?
I didn't realize I was having a good time.
Yeah.
No, I guess I just wanted to remind people, check out the Kickstarter if you're into martial arts, if you're into board games, if you're into strategy games, if you're into games like Go, if you're into Suro, Settlers of Catan. I think there's definitely elements of a lot of these games in my game, and I think Lineage is something that is it needs to be played to really be experienced, but hopefully some of the videos that we've posted, some of the reviews and stuff like that will at least give you an idea of what it would be like to play the game. And if you have a chance, I know it's 40 minutes, but watch that 4-player game. You really will get a clue as to how it plays. And it's something that I think is some people are talking about, like, okay, 15-minute games are being more popular now. Well, I designed Lineage to be the main event. This is the game, so I hope people will pick it up and give it a shot for sure. But thanks so much for having me on, and thanks for putting the word out.
Yeah, definitely, and I appreciate it. And you're a local guy, and I like to see you guys succeed and do great things and kind of develop the area.
Yeah, definitely. That's the goal. So appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So happy gaming, guys, and may the dice always roll in your favor, and I'll catch you on the next one.